Baderon, the proprietor of the Drowning Winch, wants you to lend a hand at Summerford Farms.
Still Limsa, are ye, Raide? How'd ye fancy a trip outside the city walls? I'd like you to visit an orchard by the name of Summerford Farms. Ever heard of the place? The owner, Stalwern, is an old mate of mine. He's got himself a crew of mostly reformed pirate types, if you can believe that, and has been trying to bring a bit of life back in the fields after the calamity ruined the soil. It mentioned needing another hand or two, and your name sprang to mind. I gave ye a glowing recommendation, so make sure you work hard and impress the old bastard. You need directions? This place ain't hard to find. Just take the Zephyr gate out of the city and follow the road northeast.
Ah, you must be the avenger Baderon promised to send along. RaideDuku, wasn't it? You honored his word, so that is a good start. I'm Stalwart, the old bastard, as Baderon likely described me, and this here is my humble orchard. A good number of the lads and lasses working here once terrorized the high seas, and if you're wondering why I employ these scrags, well, they used to crew my pirate ship. But the calamity did for our ship, like it did so many others, and I was sore wounded in the bargain. I had to feed myself and my crew somehow, and Admiral Merleweb's initiative to get us landlocked buccaneers working the fields seemed too fine of an offer to refuse. Well, it turns out you can take the pirate away from the sea, but you can't take the sea away from the pirate. A lot of my blokes just never took to tending the soil, you see. And unfortunately, the botanists I called in to train them have been wringing their hands in black despair. With so much work piling up, I need a tougher soul like you to step in and help where it's needed. Wern, owner of Summerford Farms, wishes to inspect your equipment and thereby gauge your readiness for the tasks he has at hand. I've mind to set you on a task, Duku, but before I do, I need to be sure you're properly kitted out. Pirates don't care to parley with dandies, you understand. It might well be that the ones here have traded their cutlasses for coulters, but they're still rogues at heart. I know a solid set of gear when I see it. Come back when you think you're more suitably equipped. Easy enough. Let's have a look at you, shall we? Oh, as long as you're this well covered, I won't feel any guilt throwing you to the sharks. Erstwhile buccaneers are an ordinary lot. They rage in love for the sea and care little for the laws of the land. But they respect strength, and by the looks of you, I'd say you'd have little trouble getting their attention. Easy enough. Ah, Duku, that aura of confidence tells me you've not been idle since we last met. I hope I read you all right, for I have a task that requires the attention of a capable adventurer. Might that adventurer be you? Stalwern, owner of the Summerford Farms, has his task for a competent adventurer. Good to hear. Then I shall lay before you the sorry tale. You have heard rumors of abductions, aye. Citizens have been disappearing from every corner of Limsa, as if plucked from the face of Hydaelyn, boots and all, by an unseen hand.
And what's this got to do with Summerford Farms, you might ask? Well, that remains to be seen, but it seems a collection of right unsavory fellows with azure-tattooed faces have been creeping up to the edges of our fields and spying on my yeomen. Now, I doubt anyone would enjoy being scrutinized by such savages at the best of times, but the farmhands are convinced that they're the kidnappers of rumor come for their hides. Needless to say, they're beside themselves with worry, and the work's suffering for it, which is the very last thing I need when my old crewmen are still getting used to their new jobs. 'Tis a struggle to get them to leave the farmhouse of the morning. That is, as they say, where you come in. Would you be willing to investigate these tattooed thugs for me? Good lad. The sooner we get to the bottom of this, the sooner this place will start to resemble a working farm again. I suggest you begin by having a look around Seasong Grotto. If reports are to be believed, our unwelcome visitors have occupied the place. Be careful, though, Duku. I couldn't say for sure what manner of miscreants we're dealing with here. If they are the kidnappers, well, just be on your guard, all right?
I am the waves that bear. I am the winds that guide. I am the evening stars. I am the morning sky. I am born of the sea, and there shall I die. Thus reads the sailor's requiem, carved into yonder stone. Such words well describe the manner in which the citizens of Limsa Lominsa live their lives. It is both a litany against misfortune for those out on the waves, and a prayer that the souls of those who perish on land might find their way back to the sea. Ah, you are the adventurer I've seen around Summerford Farms. I thought myself on the trail of the kidnappers, but it would seem I have missed my mark. Or perhaps not. As I suspected, the etheric disturbance here is no natural occurrence. Nor is it a coincidence that the two of us should come here in search of those responsible for the disappearances, only to be attacked. But who stands to benefit from the keeping of this secret? Oh, such thoughts must wait. Let us attend to the task at hand, unpleasant though it be.
Hear, feel, think. Crystal bearer. I am Hydaelyn, all made one. A light there once was that shone throughout this realm, yet it hath since grown dim. And as it hath faltered, so hath darkness risen up in its stead, presaging an end to life. For the sake of all, I beseech thee, deliver us from this fate. The power to banish the darkness dwelleth in the crystals of light. Journey forth and lay claim to them. By thy deeds shall the crystals reveal themselves to thee. Only believe, for the light liveth in thy heart. Shine thy light on all creation.
Awake again, are we? Aha! The poor creature's fury was kindled with cruel forethought. See this blade? I found it in the Gubu's back. I have seen knives of this kind before. They are most commonly used for the cutting of rope. It would appear our culprits are seafaring men of some persuasion, piratical being the most probable. In any event, you seem much recovered from your sudden affliction. I confess, I was rather taken aback when you collapsed at the very moment of our victory. Mayhap a surfeit of ether? I beg your pardon. A towering crystal. I'm sure I don't... Oh! Well, well. This has been a day of unexpected revelations. I must continue my investigation. In the meantime, I suggest you deliver this knife to your patron, along with a warning concerning the pirate's probable involvement in this murky business. The days ahead promise little rest, I fear. May our paths cross again, under the light of the crystal.
Duku, right glad am I to see you safely returned. My lads were all gabbing about hearing what sounded like all seven hells breaking loose near the grotto. I feared I'd sent you to your death. If you're in the middle of that commotion, I hope it yielded something of interest. I'd hate to think you risked your life for naught.
From cutting rope to removing barnacles, from gutting fish to gutting borders. On a ship, there are 1,000 uses for a knife.
A blade pulled from the back of a creature you slew at the cave, eh? Aye, I'd agree that such a knife would be part of any seafaring man's kit. I'm starting to think that these reverends are pirates, come to lure my farmhands back to a life of plunder. Chances are they didn't take kindly to your appearance on their doorstep and set a maddened gabu on you. Aye, the pirates have been adding to their numbers as of late. I best warn the lads and lasses in my employ to be on guard against their schemes. You met someone else at the grotto, a woman with a strange contraption? Ah, you stole her. She's been in Limsa for a good while now. Her studies of the Aether often bring her out to Summerford, so her presence at the grotto is hardly unusual. She's an odd-looking lass, I grant you, but she's not the kind to associate with kidnappers. You may take my word for that. Where trust should be lacking is those yeomen of mine who have yet to wholly relinquish their pirate pasts. The temptation to return to the free and easy life of a buccaneer may prove too strong to resist. You have my thanks, Duku. If it weren't for the efforts of stalwart adventurers like yourself, this farm would be in far worse state than it is. Just you keep on lending your talents to those in need, eh? Help bring Limsa the brighter future she deserves.
Stalwern is up in arms as his hired hands are nowhere to be found.
That sea sloth Severin and his lot never around when there's work to be done. I'd sooner hire you for the sake of getting things done, but then the Repskillians would never learn. Round 'em up and let them know that Stalwern would like a word, and don't take no for an answer.
Work? Huh? Can't work when me hands are full lifting this mug. You know, I'd wager my little skill you'd never guess what I'm drinking. Swill water or swill wine? Swill water. Well, you're right about the swill part. I reckon it might be worth my day of doing stalwart chores that'll afford me a taste of proper grog. How am I supposed to work on an empty stomach? Go on, have a guess of what I had for breakfast. Breaded sticks. What? Gods, how'd you know? It's my breath, ain't it? It probably smells as wooden as the food tasted. But I know why you're here. I'd just as soon get some real food in me, but I ain't one to reject the summons from the captain.
Axes were made for splitting skulls, not stumps. You know what I did in my sailing days?
Skirmishing?
You bet your boot I did, lad. Aye, those were the days. I reckon now I'll have to be satisfied taking my axe to the trees.
So, Stalwart sent you. And what do you reckon I say to that?
I've saucer seeds to sow.
Damn right. Didn't get to where I was by taking guff from any glorified gardeners. But I suppose I could see what he wants to get him off my back. I am Severin, the old man's errand boy now. Tell my dear old captain not to wet his britches. I'll be along. Oh, and just so we're clear, I don't care for landlubbers. Go find the chocobo you rode in on and ride on out.
You continue to impress, lad, but all but Severin are accounted for. It's no fault of yours he squirmed out. I let that worm wriggle through my fingers more times than I can count. But rest assured, the next time I see him, I'll put him squarely in the dirt where all such worms belong.
Stalwart worries his lack of oranges will not reach the Lothangren checkpoint as planned. His sack of oranges will not reach the Lothangren checkpoint as planned.
Pains me to say, but all the gil in the world can't buy loyalty. There are some like you who can be trusted, but then there are others. Until now, I have no choice but to rely on that charlatan Severin, even though I am full aware he's been doing shady deals behind my back. More than once I've heard tell of improper trading with goblins. I wouldn't be the least surprised if it were happening right now. Not a bell ago, a sack of oranges vanished, as did Severin. I want you to find and confront the bastard for me, Duku. I'm sure there's wrongdoing afoot, so be sure to doubt anything that comes out of his mouth.
Bloody hells, I'm up the street without a paddle.
Listen here, asshole.
What's this now? Stalwart sent you for the oranges? Huh, so the old bugger had known all this time. What does it matter anyway? Listen, you're one of those goody-goody adventure types, right? Go rescue me Migs from those double-dealing goblins. They're just over yonder by the bonfire. I owe you one. Would have gotten my way myself if it weren't for Severin shoving me aside.
Severin sent you? Ha! The way he flew out of here, I was sure he sold us down the river.
If you hadn't come, my dodo would have been cooked.
Cooked dodo.
You saved my mates, and for that I owe you. Suppose I should be ashamed I couldn't clean up my own mess. But a pirate knows no shame. I have no qualms about going back on my word. I'm only giving you this sack because I like the cut of your jib. Take to Ossine and send him my regards.
What have we here? A delivery from Summerford Farms and is scheduled? Ha! There's a first time for everything.
A burlap bag packed chock full of juicy, ripe Nosian oranges.
Well, look at that. Not a single one missing either. About the only things not here are those bagmen, and I don't miss them one bit. Here's Stallowin's payment in full. With you, I can trust it'll reach him. Back in one piece, that's a relief. How did you fare, Duku?
Sack of gill. Payment for sack of Nosian oranges.
Ah, this is what I've been aiming for. Looks to be all I was owed, all right. Though I'd be telling you false if I claimed I had not held out more hope for Severin. I was even willing to overlook the skimming off the top, but to sell us all short in favor of those god-forsaken goblins. Ugh. You do well to mind yourself around that two-gill cheat. If he'd leave his own mates for dead, there's no telling what he'd do to you.
Gurkhant seeks fertile soil to improve the yields of his newly plowed fields.
Blast! At this rate, the crops will never be ready for harvest. If we only had black loam, just a bit could send our stalks soaring. I bet Ratwanda knows where you might find some. Perhaps you might pay her a visit in the orchard.
God, that Gurkhant's got a head of cabbage if he thinks I'm fetching him any black loam. But if you dare pinch some from the cook pot, then be my guest. Just mind you don't get trampled upon by the aurochs that dwell there. Once you've had you 3 bushels worth, take the black loam to Freewall at Tiller's Rest. He'll know what to do.
Ah, even the weeds wither and die in this desolate dirt.
Black loam, quite literally a steaming sack of shite.
But I bet this black loam ought to change all that. I haven't seen any in ages. Gathering black loam's not for the weak of will, nor for the weak of stomach, eh? Oh, don't tell me Gurkhant and Ratwanda neglected to mention where black loam comes from. Well, surely you figured it out on your own from the cloying stench. It comes from the aurochs' lair, of all places. Well, why dwell on who misled whom about what? What matters is that your efforts have brought us to black loam, and we can expect a bountiful harvest as a result. Thank you.
Freewall needs stolen farm tools recovered.
Confound pirates! They know nothing of tilling, only killing, stealing our shovels and melting and forged into axes of all things. They're biting their hand that feeds them, the mangy mongrels. I'd love to teach those curs a lessons in obedience myself if I hadn't sworn to Stillborn that I wouldn't fight no more. So I need you to bring back our farm tools and make sure those dogs reap what they've sown. I wonder if those sea dogs will try and steal when there's no harvest.
Without tools like these, the tillers who frequent Tiller's Rest would have a hard time tilling.
Ah, good to see the tools back and in serviceable condition, which will be more than what we can say of Severin when we get our hands on him. The wretch likely had a role in the theft. Spied him meeting the pirates in secret, I did. I couldn't care less if the wastrel won't work, but when he consorts with cutpurses to take our tools away, he's crossed the line. Stalworm ought to know what sort of scalawag he's dealing with. Take word to him, would you? Pirates making off with our tools? Farewell did not take matters in his... Farewell did not well... barf. Farewell did well...
Let me try that from the start, okay?
Pirates making off with our tools? Farewell didn't well not to take matters in his own hands. Last thing I need is blood on my crops. But I'll be damned if Severin thinks he can take us for fools. His treachery won't go unpunished. I've come to expect a great deal from you, lad, and you've never once let me down. Yet what I'd ask of you now goes beyond aught I've asked before. Would you hear my plea all the same?
Stalworm has reason to believe that Severin is up to no good. Something must be done.
It eases my mind to have your ear. You're no doubt familiar with that scoundrel Severin by now. Well, the scheming scapegrace is at it again. Since that letter came for him, he's been sulking about in that manner that he does when he's up to no good.
Skulking. Skulkin.
Now he's rounded up his rogues and buggered off with nary a word to anyone. I've grown accustomed to his insolence, but something tells me this is different. It ain't exactly damning, but when I last had words with him, he didn't look defiant so much as hunted. I can't help to think he's gone looking for trouble and found more than he wanted. So I was hoping you might hunt his sorry hide down and drag it back here before it's too late. That ungrateful little cur bites me every chance he gets, but I can't quite bring myself to cut him loose. Suppose he reminds me a bit of my younger self. Suffice it to say, I'd rather he didn't come to a sticky end. As for how to find him, I'd try asking Grinwada at the Aetherite. She was the last one to see him. I dare say she'll be able to tell you where he was headed.
Nothing that passes through those gates escapes my notice. I saw that rouser and his rabble set out for Woad Whisper Canyon not long ago, singing about drinking themselves stupider. Cheeky sods said I should join them. I told them I'd rather shrivel up and sip whatever it was that had pickled their brains. If you find the idle swine, be sure to give them a cuff round the ear for me, will you? All the dirty, deceitful, downright dastardly deeds that slippery bastard's done. Claiming to take the lads out for a drink, only to lead us straight into a bloody trap. It don't get no lower than that. Of course, I've learned to stay a step ahead of old Severin, so I was ready, but the others weren't so lucky. You've got to help them.
My axe may have well been a white flag for all the good it did. Hope you fare better, or the sorry bastards in there are done for.
Severin might have gotten us into this mess, but I ain't about to let him give his life for us. I'd sooner bow to a fishback than be on that conniving bastard's debt. To arms!
A true knave. You betray even yourself, Severin. We were prepared to overlook the matter of your desertion on the condition that you provided us with suitable replacements. That was the agreement. Yet your latest change of heart leaves your debt to us unpaid. Few are they who betray the Serpent Reavers twice. You will not do so a third time. Cowering behind your protector will only delay the inevitable. Honorless wretch, your life is all you have left. And worthless though it be, we shall take it! O mournful voice of creation, send on to me a creature of the abyss, my thrall to command, that I may smite my enemies. You are strong, but are you strong enough to withstand this? Impossible! Never has the golem been sorely tested. That the golem could be vanquished. That man is no ordinary adventurer.
Snake slithered away. I am only glad he did not have the chance to sink his fangs more deeply into you. Those pirates do not belong to any known Lominsa factions. Whom do they serve? The Beast Tribes? Surely not. But the timing of their appearance coincides all too neatly with the recent surge in Sahagin and Kobold activity. Something is afoot. The question is, what? Could it be that the tribes are planning to summon their primals? 12 help us if it should prove so. Limsa would be hard-pressed to keep a single primal at bay, let alone 2. But all is yet speculation. I must needs find evidence. seas continue to rise, while the lesser moon continues to fall. And ilm by ilm, the world becomes even more unlike itself. It is as Louis Soir foretold. The coming of chaos has rendered the laws of nature mutable, blurring the boundary between the material and ethereal planes. Little now stands between us and the primals. But they are not here yet. Through time may be against us, hope shall ever be on our side. Never did the creed of Charlemagne, never say that right, Charlemagne, ring more true. Never did I dream that I would possess the means to see Aether, but yet now that I do, I begin to take it for granted. How swiftly do the wonders of Charlemagne seem commonplace.
Here, for you. Have you come for the festivities? Today, the Maelstrom officially makes that great hole in the sea its training ground. Join the celebrations.
Wait, a disturbance in the etheric flow. But whence doesn't it emanate? Si Sangrado, perhaps? What have we here? Can you walk? "'Tis I. Regrettably, no, he eluded me." "Understood. I will inform the Commodore." "You collapsed from your exertions. Are you suitably recovered?" "Severin here has apprised me of all that has transpired. His account sheds some light upon how you came to be attacked by a golem of all things." "A golem is a mindless automaton, inert save when commanded to otherwise. Common pirates could not hope to control such a thing, so arcane are its workings. But then these tattooed wretches are no common pirates. They are the minions of the Sahagin. As to their purpose, well, I shall get to the bottom of it. But first I must escort Severin back to his place of employment. I dare say Stalwern will be wondering what has become of him. And you too, for that matter. I will bear word of him of your preservation, but I am certain he would like to thank you in person. Pray pay the man a visit." "Ah, he told me of you, but perchance he did not tell you of me. My name is Shistola. I am a naturalist of sorts, surveying the aether in hope that it might offer up some clue to our predicament. I'd say I owed you my life, but that don't cover it. If it weren't for you, my friends would be dead and all. 'Tis a debt I can never repay, but I'll not make things worse by running away. Take me to Summerford Farms, and I'll face the consequences." "For reasons I cannot fathom, you seem... Forgive me, mayhap we will have a chance to speak again when I have marshaled my thoughts. Until our paths next cross, farewell."
In years and all, adventure, I've caused more than my fair share of trouble during my time here. Not that you need telling. Lo, I knew you'd return. You stole and delivered Severin a bit ago. Tales of your heroic deeds precede you. The rest came shuffling back too, the lot of them sporting the same haunted expression.
It is me for the blame for that. That and the rest. I once was a serpent reaver.
A thrall to the Sahagin? 7 hells, reavers may look and sound and act like pirates, but they're not but fishbacks flunkies.
Us pirates ain't much for laws, but there's things we won't do. We've got a code, see? But the reavers never followed a word of it. A few years back, they started snatching law-abiding Lominsons. I'd only just taken my oath when our captain bent the knee to his new Sahagin masters. I knew I had to get away. So I crept off one night, got myself a new name, and found myself a new home, Summerford Farms. Trouble is, secrets don't stay secret for long round here, and soon word spread all the way back to the sea. The penalty for desertion is death, but the reavers offered me a way out instead, my freedom in exchange for my mates.
The letter.
I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't bloody thinking, too busy souling myself.
Aye, but you got there in the end, didn't you? When the time came, you made the right decision. The men say little to me, but I hear 'em talk how you stood up to the reavers at the last, of how you tried to give your life to save theirs.
Be as it may, no deed, however good, can atone for the crime of betraying your brethren. I know that, I do. That's why I'm going to hand myself over to the Yellow Jackets. I'll bring shame to the farm no more.
You'll hear no arguments from me. Each man must sail according to his own moral compass. I just hope yours guides you back here someday. There will always be a place for you at Summerford Farms, lad.
And I'll always be in your debt, Stalwern.
I owe you a debt too, Raide. Not once have you let me down. Thank you for saving the men of my farm. If I could ask one more favor of you, it'd be this. Tell Baderon what's happened, from start to finish. I'm certain he'd put a good word for Severin if he knew the whole story. And he's one of the few people I know who the Yellow Jackets will listen to. Well, I reckon I've asked all I can possibly ask of you. Safe travels, son. Bloody hells! Life on the farm ain't quite how I pictured it. Aye, but ye needn't worry yourself over young Severin. Yellow Jackets as hands out punishments as good a mate o' mine. If I ask him nice, I reckon ye'd be willing to commute the lad sentence from hanging to keel hauling. Kindly gent that he is. Yeah, I'm only jesting with thee. I'll see he's treated fair. Now, it sounds to me like you've done everything old Stalwern asked ye and more, justifying me generous finder's fee in the process. Much obliged, lad. As your reward, well, she's a lonely lady, this drowning wench o' mine. How would you like keeping her company for a spell, with free room and board? Venturing's a trying business, after all. Them as don't rest their bones every now and again tend to end up with broken ones, and taken from me, fighting ain't nearly so much fun when you're nursing a shattered arm. Got that? Good. There'll always be a free bed for ye, so make use of it. Not that you'd have much time for lying around with all the levs you'll be doing. Oh, didn't I mention I'm putting your name down for levs? Our guild draws all manner of clients, offering all manner of odd jobs. Honestly, you'd be amazed how much folk will pay to avoid doing an honest day's labor. Just give to Morkri a shout whenever you feel like making a few extra gil. She'll always have some task or other for ye to do. Oh, and it's all above board, case you're wondering. We are careful to stay on the Admiral's right side in here, unlike some pirates I could mention. I tell ye, if it turns out they had aught to do with them kidnappings, there'll be 7's hell to pay, a bleeding blood in reckoning.
Mayhap that's what Limsa needs, though. On the rough seas, sometimes you have to rock the boat to right it. But we'll have time for such talk when you're well and rested. Till then, enjoy the wrench's hospitality.